going, but let's take it down a notch. I just want to say to friends and to family, thank you so much for being here. And let's just make a big blast of noise for Steve Ben Israel one time. Yes. So just to give you a little sense, my dad started taking me to clubs when I was 2 years old. So we're continuing the tradition. And we got the kids section right there. Give it up for the next generation in the house. And there was a place called Smalls, a great jazz club called Smalls. Get up for Smalls. And I found Smalls first. I found it first. I was looking through jazz records on 6th Avenue. And this crazy guy came up to me and says, "Hey, you like jazz, man? You like jazz?" And it was Mitch. And he gave me this flyer and for this little jazz club. And I went there, and Jason played with his big band. And anyone seen the Jason Linder Big Band at Smalls? Woo! That's right. You saw it. Well, you were there, man. And it was a great hang because, you know, it was like bring your own alcohol, free juice, free rice and beans. This is going to the old school, you know?
Right, yeah.
It was a great hang. And my dad and I used to go there all the time. And Eric McPherson used to play there all the time too. So these were musicians very, very close to my dad. And then Pana came on the scene a little bit later and playing with Now versus Now. So it's just so good to have these guys in the house because anyone who knows my pops knows that music was a huge part of his life. You know, he was a jazz musician back in the 50s, as he would say, escaping the mayonnaise of the 50s, the sinking in the mayonnaise. And, you know, Steve Ben Israel and his orchestra, you know, he had a band, and he also played in an all-black Baptist band as a young Jewish kid in Flatbush, Brooklyn. So we had to have music here tonight. But what I'd like to do right now is I'd like to bring a very good friend of mine up to the stage. Can we please welcome Yako 440? You can grab one of these mics if you want. And I want to also just shout out the American Human Beatbox Festival that is that's you know been supporting this event tonight. So give them some love. In my own way, my dad was a beatboxer. In his own way, he was a vocal poet. He was a vocal musician. He was a jazz artist. He was a poet. He was an actor. And he made sound, and you know, I never could quite get down that Lord Buckley that'll, you know, I had my own version of it. Yeah, there it goes, I like that. And for those who don't know Yako, Yako's a very long time friend, and when I was living in England, Yako was a real strong presence for my dad, and would come and visit him, and just, you know, a very powerful connection there as well. So I want to just start by invoking a little bit of the spirit of Steve Ben with a piece that just always kind of comes to me. So let's see where it is. Now, white people were fucking over other white people way before they got to fucking over black people, so by the time they got to fucking over black people, they were fucking good at it. Now, black people were fucking over other black people way before they got to fucking over other black people, so when the white man came, he used some of those black people to fuck over the black people, and then eventually fucked over those black people too. But here, tonight, at Le Mans, we are here too. Give me a U. Give me an N. Hey. Give me an F. Hey. Give me a U. Give me a C. Give me a K. Hey. Give me an I. Give me a T. What does that spell? Unfucking. What does that spell? Unfucking. Give me a beat. We're here to unfuck it, unplug it with the rhythm. When I do it, I start to just rise. I can feel the still veteran Israel energy in my eyes. When I'm flowing, giving the rhythm, when I'm breaking the place, you know what I mean? It's like Steve, the energy from Serene. You know, back to Flatbush, my rap push with energy. I start to see it, maybe like a jazz bass line. A bass line in the 50s, moving through the energy, trying to find it. Vietnam War, anti-war, protesting, pro-expression, living theater. Oh my God, gotta leave the country, exile, going to Europe, all of a sudden touring. It's the theater on the street, breaking down the elite. Give it up for the living theater one time, the cycle's complete. We're grooving, moving, cruising on a journey. Turnkeys, this was freestyle, improvisation, experimental sounds, avant-garde. Now wait a second, traveling, sometimes it gets hard in Brazil. And the living theater are locked up. But my dad, being my dad, kind of sensed something and didn't show up when they got arrested. And then all of a sudden he's hiding out in a back room, and then he gets a blonde wig and he puts on a trench coat and he's in a diplomatic car and he's going to the airport. And he's got to do his best improvisation because they're saying, well, who are you? What are you doing here? He says, I'm an actor, and I'm working on a Charles Bronson movie. Because it was the 70s, he thought the security guards, they're going to dig Charles Bronson. So then, he says, I'm going to visit my grandma. He gets out, he gets in the plane, get back to New York, and then all of a sudden he organizes. Give it up for organizing. He's organizing. He's at the Judson Church. He puts in the work, and all of a sudden the Living Theater comes out. Yeah. And then the question is, will Pamela be let into America? I haven't arrived on the planet yet. But thankfully, my dad continued his improvisations. There they are, dealing with the US government, and they pull out the file. They say, what was this play you did called Fuck You America? And then Steve said in his great improvisation, it was the 60s. Fuck you meant love. So it actually meant love America. And my mom got lit in. And I was born a few years later. Bam, give it up for Bam. We got some people from Bam in the house. Paradise Now in the 70s, Pittsburgh, the Money Tower. It was all happening. But the Living Theater went back, and my mom said, hey, my mom said to Steve, you know what? I don't want my son growing up on the road in a Volkswagen bus. So my parents stayed downtown Soho. It was the time of the working class, Italian neighborhood mafia, a few artist freaks sneaking into the buildings. Everything changes, the story goes on and on and on and on and on. But the energy we are here is to unfuck it. Say it one more time, say it. Unfuck it. To unfuck it. To unfuck it. For Steve Bann. We're going to take you on a journey tonight. We have a wonderful array of performers, and there's also going to be a chance for you, the audience, to interact with Playback NYC and share your feelings about Pops, about Steve. But I would like to welcome someone who was also a close friend of my dad's, and they shared a common muse, the muse of Lord Buckley. If you know about Lord Buckley, make some noise. This man has written a beautiful, beautiful book called Dig Infinity, which is a book about Lord Buckley's life. It is a fantastic read. And he wrote an ode to Steve Ben Israel. And he also has a musician accompanying him named John, is it? Cruth. Don't be uncouth, Cruth. And the first gig he ever did in New York was with my pops at the Folk City in 1977. So we're coming full circle. So can we please welcome to the stage John and Oliver Traeger, backed up by the band. Make them feel welcome, please. I'm also working as stagehand tonight. One more time, Oliver Traeger and John and the band. Here we go.
I remember Cool Cat. Do you remember? I remember. I remember walking down lonely mid-late 70s Broadway when nary a soul wandered the vacant September darkening streets and passing a rangy Cool Cat. Under floppy denim cap, breeze blowing your hair, long, wide, and wild, catching only a snippet of a rap you were giving your friend, and me thinking, who is that guy? I remember the late show of something called Nostalgic for the Future, and catching my next few glimpses of the same guy preparing for a one-man show in the dressing room with his spunky-looking kid in tow, no less, and hanging out to be amazed by the Cool Cat and his rap reminding us exactly what it meant to be human. I remember thumbing through the record bin at Soho's that old boho zone haunt on West Broadway near Canal, and coming upon a couple of newly minted Lord Buckley albums and hearing a voice whispering in my ear, the spinning wheel, baby, the spinning wheel. I remember finally introducing myself to the coolest of cool cats on the corner of 33rd and 8th in the shadow of the garden, July '85, hanging out with I forget who, before Dylan Petty, and hearing a spiel I might title, the great non-violent Greenwich Village coffee house revolution. I remember phone calls and conversations stretching to dig infinity and beyond and back. Were you performing or rehearsing? I could never tell, but it never made a diff. Your last message to me, Oliver, I knew you had your eyes on that frying pan to clean, but just want to let you know I did it in 54 minutes and 23 seconds with a cigarette break. The best. I remember when Cool Cat and Fast and Night interviewed Dylan on BAI, and Cool Cat penetrating that enigmatic bubble. I remember you don't have to keep kosher as long as you keep continuity. I remember to be a mensch, that is the answer. I remember enough with Breaking Bad, how about fixing good? I remember his mother cleaning Shabbos dishes 1940s. I remember his blue suede shoes. I remember the great handball champion of East 23rd Street. I remember him waiting tables in the Borscht Belt and a taste of life beyond Flatbush. I remember him hanging out at Birdland, digging Clifford, Max, Sonny, and with a couple of Swedish beats, a night in Tunisia in Times Square. I remember those first fitful steps under the stages of Bleecker Street with those impressive impressions of Bogart and Cagney. I remember that weird gig you got through that Brill Building agent acting as a prom night date for shy Gloria from Queens, and how you got to her through your wit and wisdom and calm charm and gregarious grace to let her feel like a queen, if but for a fleeting 1962 spring night. I remember the connection and the brig and Antigone and Frankenstein and Cool Cat, now late 20-something, venturing into the Black Forest on low dose and becoming one with his muse with words that went like this. I remember the king of the benefits at PS 41 and all those hole-in-the-wall joints, the cupping rooms, Smalls, and those every once in a while larger rooms, Neo-Rican, Theater for the New City, Carnegie Hall even. And one of those rare treks north of 14th Street, where Cool Cat went off the grid, blowing his mind and yours too. Getting better and deeper and more profound digging, and thou shalt be dug. I remember you wanna get before every show. I remember September 11th, 1973. I remember another one too when Cool Cat talked more than a few of us off the freaking ledge with soothing words of compassion, understanding, and love. I remember the blackout of "Oh what?" and making that same 9/11 trek from Midtown to Central Brooklyn, and lo and behold, bumping into Cool Cat, the whole neighborhood, micro and macro, losing their heads just because a few lights went out. Him with a big smile on that great big beautiful puss saying, "Welcome to Baghdad." I remember all those hours spent in Baba's old room, the cassette machine of world with Don Pullen, Larry Estrich, Don Cherry, and some prime Baba, extending the pure sound word legacy from Homer and Book of Jeremiah on through Lambert, Hendrix, Ross, and Pavon, and Ella, and Lewis, and Grandmaster Flash, room a holy clutter of faded images from your journey while you perform for an audience of one. I remember your fall and the rehab and the long short walks to the Spring Street playground, the city alight in the night in some pale imitation of an imitation of itself as our words and stories flowed to was some intangible cosmic truth, and Cool Cat told me the story of Baruch Israel. And Pamela, after her fall too, massaging shoulders like a raven with a broken wing, queen of the cosmic non sequitur, mystical child of the outback. I remember we had some tastes and patterns in radio. Who knew you were such a connoisseur of all sports, WFAN 6600 on your AM dial, and how every now and then I'd hear your voice coming across the ether. I remember Cool Cat could get upset and hurt and angry even, but never, ever, ever mean. But that was only sometimes, a blip on the screen of kindness, generosity, and praise for all we can be. I remember, man, I did my thing in New York, and those young hip-hoppers, they just dug it. I remember Jackie McLean at the Village Vanguard, 1992, when you snapped that beautiful pic of Elaine and me, youthful in our love, with all the uncertain terrain of marriage and parenting laying unseen before us. I remember you, Cool Cat, and always will. Not a brother from another mother, more like the uncle I always wished I had. I remember you, Cool Cat, I'll never forget. I remember you, Cool Cat, and that bird of paradise. I remember you, Cool Cat. I remember. Do you remember? Yeah.
One more time, please. Oliver Traeger, John, and the band. Thank you. We can just place that there, Oliver. Don't mind.
Beautiful.
Hey, Sarah. I skipped something earlier. I want to see if you can help me out with that. Before I bring up Playback, we are at, this festival. This is happening as part of the American Human Beatbox Festival. And every now and then my dad was known to beatbox. We were on tour in Germany, in Dusseldorf, Germany. Can we go to that for a second? We just see a little moment of that? Get up, speak up now, come on, get up. Put your hands up now, get up, we have to get up. We're jumping about
The artists I know are all having a difficult time financially, but their work is wonderful because they realize how heavy it all is right now, but their work seems to it's like a singing vision, so.
The public playground. I want to have some spaces to play around, to make my sound, to make music. Public playground, gotta intervene, interfere, to conquer the fear, because the fear is what keeps us separate, neglected. Did the right to play, because if you don't play, the murder will start. Like you said, you gotta make the public heart, the public art, the public start. We get out into the street, we feel the sun's heat, then we can start to create and innovate. We're of the state and the system, release the inner rhythm, we got the vision. It's like being a 5-year-old children, the kidding, the feeling, revealing, the flowing.
Playground. Playground.
All right. There it is. Can I welcome to the stage Playback NYC, please? Give it up for Playback NYC. So, Playback, It's an improvisational theater form. They have no idea what they're about to do. But what they'd like to do, what we'd like to do is play back some of your feelings about Steve. So I'm going to turn to you guys now. And this is a chance for you to shout out your feelings, your memories about Pops, about Steve Ben.
Love.
Love, who's that? Who said that?
Matt Lillis.
Matt Lillis. From the back, the man in the back. When you say that, Matt, what do you mean? Give me a little bit more. Come on, Matt, come on in.
Alright, now I'm on stage.
You're on the spot now, man. Well, so when you said love, what does that mean to you, love and Steve Ben? Give me a little more, a little bit more.
He was all about it.
All about. And how did you feel that? What were the ways that you felt that?
He had a certain way about him. He could if there was tension or see conflict, he had a way of smoothing it out.
Yeah, smoothing it out. Okay, so Matt, feeling the love for a man who could smooth it out. Yeah, a man who could smooth it out with his powers of love. Feeling the love. Let's watch.
What's going on? Unfuck that.
All right, there you go. Someone else would like to share a feeling about Steve Ben tonight, on this night when we're paying tribute. Yes, Jackie.
You can't express it.
You can't express it? Well, you gotta try.
You can't get it out.
You can't get it out? No? How come? You can't?
Just can't.
What happens when you try?
It's too big, it's too powerful.
It's just too big, it's too powerful, okay. Jackie, I just can't express it. It's too big, it's too powerful. I just can't express it. Let's watch. Thank you, Jackie. Someone else who wants to share something tonight. All right, I'm going to come to Bambi.
I'm feeling some amazement and gratitude at the same time. Before meeting Steve Ben, I never had an elder role model before.
All right.
So I look forward to letting even those that aren't born yet know how great it was to know him.
Great.
So grateful.
Feeling grateful to have known him and to finally have an elder role model.
Yeah.
And what did elder what had been your experience before that, like with elders?
Well,
how would they let you down?
You know, they didn't curse or speak the truth.
Right.
You know, and I really appreciated that about Steve.
Okay.
Very much.
All right. Great. And he would curse and speak the truth. I want to see this as a transformation, and I want to see it transforming from kind of feeling like maybe some of the older people in your life were holding something back from you.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they wouldn't put it right out there.
Exactly.
And then you met Steve, and it was like,
It's always,
bang,
it's out there all
it's
the time.
right out there. All right, let's watch.
Yeah, there's things happening in the world, but you don't need to know. You don't need to know that. Not for your ears. There's things happening, but not gonna share. Just smile.
No.
Just smile. This feels like
To be a mensch. What's a mensch? That shit is fucked up. Real fucked.
All right, prepare me. An elder role model. I saw another hand here, and then I'll come back. Yes.
If he received something from you, he transformed it and gave it back. So you were always in the now, in conversation with Steve, and because you were in the now, you were young, you were whatever. It was timeless exchange. I remember I haven't had that many exchanges with him,
Yeah.
but I remember each and every one because he didn't have any filter. He looked at me, he saw me, he transformed me, he heard me, and then he came back on us that is still here.
And say your name for us.
Sora.
Sora.
Litsky.
So you felt when you guys interacted, it felt like it was a place that was in the present and it was timeless.
Yes.
And what you put out, he transformed.
Right.
Yeah, a space that is timeless, a place that brings you right to the now. There was no filter in his eyes, and it let you feel really present. Let's watch.
we are here, right now, together. Right now.
Shri Badu it, Shri Badu it. Yeah, Shri Badu it practiced industrial yoga. If you guys know about that.